right, here we are. We are able to get our task back, right? Now we've been able to add our one task. Now I want to add that task to a task list, right? Ooh, task list. Ooh.
Create list item.
Intriguing.
Sounds like it's going to be like
Order.
It
list
is.
item.
We're gonna need a hook. And just like before, we're gonna have something called task list, set task list. And what's the default value of our task list, of our to-do list?
String.
an empty array.
Empty array, not a string. Because remember, our thing is gonna be an array of objects that we're gonna get back from our server.
So there's no squiggles?
No, it's an empty
Oh, it's
array.
because the objects are inside the array.
Correct. Yes.
I'm good.
Okay. You look like you were in deep thought there.
No. I was just thinking about the comma squiggles.
Yeah, right? So here, we want to take our new item, and we want to add it to that array. Right? So we're going to say, hey, you know what? Set task list. And what do we want to pass it?
The item.
The item. So we pass it the item, resp.data, right? Which is what you're talking about, right?
I think so, yeah.
This will take whatever task list is and override it with whatever we pass it. So it's not what
Oh, so now we want,
no.
we want to append.
Yeah, we want to append it. So really, we want to go, hey, whatever, take our task list dot concat that.
Love that.
Someone was excited about that.
Function is the best function.
I actually don't understand this.
But this won't work.
Because that's all the data we got back, right? Not just the item.
Maybe it's 'cause
Well,
it's
no, that's just it. We're only getting the data back. But this is still tied to the original task. So remember how yesterday how we have a counter that never went past 1?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing here. So we want to use that function syntax to say, hey, take whatever the old task was and add this task.
Okay.
So let's do that, and then we'll answer our questions. And I know Lynn and Hector have questions. So really, it is old list, and return old list concat resp.data.
Old list is single arbitrary.
Yep. This is just what it was before, and we're calculating what it is next.
Okay.
So we're saying, hey, take the old thing and add to it the new thing, and now that big thing is now our task.
That's a new variable that we are then adding to our old one.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Hector and then Dante.
You answered the next question.
Oh, cool.
So you're just making this, that whole thing is just showing us because like if we did do that, then you're not making a function, so it'll actually do the
Yeah.
thing, and then it'll stall out kind of, right?
Yeah. So let's see if this works after Phil and Amanda's questions. Phil?
Maybe you can break that down for me again, because I'm not really sure why all of a sudden we're putting a function in this set task list, and why it even takes a function, why does it accept a function?
So what this is doing is that we're saying, hey, we want to set the task list with some new value.
Okay.
But we want-
Wait, what is set task list now? Just an empty function, or?
It's a function that will update this.
Okay.
Right? And that's all it is.
Okay.
It takes one of two parameters. It will either take the new value that we want to give it. So we can say, hey, you know what, set task list equal to this thing.
Okay.
Or it takes a function of how do we compute the next task list.
Okay.
That's what we want to do here. We're telling it, hey, our instructions to create the next task list, the next thing in state, is take the old list
Okay.
and concat a new thing to it.
Now, how come? I just don't understand why old lists, like, it just gives you the old list, like, just because you pass it a function.
Yes, because that function takes one parameter. And that one parameter is whatever it is in the past state.
Okay. So, use state is doing some really funky stuff.
It's doing a lot of magic. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of magic. Which is awesome. Terrifying, but awesome.
Right.
Can you go back over to the console log where we console log response?
Yeah, sure.
So now all of that data is going to end up in the
in here. Yep.
So we don't have to make like a specific hook for ID, because it's all already in there.
Correct.
How awful is that?
That's so much cooler than the long way I was gonna do it.
We're gonna make a state for each one of these.
Well, only the ones that I thought were important, but yes.
Yeah. We don't do that. We can take one level up and make a bucket for everything put together, or objects.
That ID is a constant that won't change, so
Correct.
that list will always be available.
So that ID is constant to that item.
So
like,
everyone will have its
Yeah.
own.
so I made N, and N. If I make my item is going to be a different ID.
Awesome. Okay. Now their user ID is the same.
Correct, because I made it.
So and that's how we'll access that same list. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
I guess that's what's confusing me.
How we're actually gonna make the list.
How we're gonna maintain that same
Yes,
list.
right? So that's gonna be fun. If we go back to the documentation, as long as we use that same token, we'll get the same list.
But for
Yeah, that
String.
whatever I used it.
okay.
Spokesperson row improve Kane.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So it's cool. I can see if it works actually as well. It didn't crash, which is awesome. All right, cool. So our array has 2 items in it. Is there a way to see that? DevTools be better. No. Curse you, DevTools. Anyways, so I'm going to guess it works because we now have an array of 2 items, right? So now let's actually show this stuff on the screen. Just like before, we have an array that we need to map over to actually do this. So down here, task list dot map item, and then we want to return this nonsense. But we want to replace this with item dot text. And if we wanted to get fancy, we can create a date time and actually say, hey, item.created at, underscore at.
This is all from the API.
Yeah. It doesn't say.
But it's in the console log when we get back to it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I'm right. Haha. All right, so it's working, which is awesome. And I'm adding stuff to it. How are we feeling so far?
Can you show me the snippet of code that adds each one? Is that just from the API code that we just did?
Almost.
Yep.
That's all in one.
Yeah, so it's adding one item,
Yeah.
and we're getting that item back,
Yeah.
saying it was actually created. Then once it's actually created, we're adding it to our to-do list.
So that item, text, tax, that's the whole body. That just seems like a lot.
It's doing a lot for us, right?
Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. That's awesome.
In about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, we'll actually build this, the API. I know.
So we can really find anything we want. We can access any data that we've made up.
Yeah.
That's scary.
All right, so we'll see the other side of this. Right now we're looking at like the outside of the house, but now we'll actually look at the inside of the house in a little bit.
It's a little
And you're
scary.
gonna teach us to write scripts that will generate data to put in our JSON?
Yeah, at some point. At some point, it's like a bonus lecture, sometime before capstone. I know. It's getting serious, right?
We can make up all the data we want. I mean, technically.
So is the API is just storing your tasks instead of
Yep.
pursuing?
The API is just a place where we're storing our data, and that's it. So now, if I wanted to, I could pull this website up anywhere and I'll store the exact same changes. Amanda?
If it's storing our old tasks, where did the ends go?
Right? Where the M's and the N's and the other stuff would go.
Yeah.
We're not loading them up. Are we? So that's the next step that we have to do.
Okay.
Is because if I refresh this page, I'm gonna lose everything. Womp.
Oh no,
I know, right?
nothing to do.
So I want to say, you know what? Whenever we first load up the page, whenever we first load up this component, we want to have a side effect of going to our API and getting the data. Use effect, right? So, use effect. Use effect. We don't want it to track anything. We just want it to run once. And our once is going to be, hey, Axios, run a get to our API URL /items. I know that, just so you not make sure I'm not pulling that out of thin air, is that here, our get URL, access token, the exact same URL, but a different verb, right? It's no longer a post, we're no longer creating something. We are just, hey, give me some get things. So we're just that kind of cool because REST makes that possible. And it says, hey, we're going to get stuff back as long as we pass the access token. And what we're going to get back should look something like this. An array of items. That's what we want. Yes, Liv.
Can you do a really, really quick recap on when we necessarily need Axios and when we need use effect? I know like you're doing it right now to hold this data and store it.
Yep. So use effect is saying, hey, we want a side effect to happen pretty much.
Okay.
Our side effect, we usually use the term side effect to say something bad, right? Like this thing has these side effects. Side effects aren't necessarily bad in the development world. It just says, hey, I'm doing something, but I also want this to happen. A very common side effect is whenever we're doing something, we also want to log stuff out to the console. That logging stuff out to the console is technically a side effect.
That's weird.
Yeah,
What
right?
do you think of that?
Yeah, but it is, right? It's not what we're doing, but we want it to happen as it's doing it.
Right.
So our effect here is that we want to say when this thing is loaded, hey, we also want to go grab the data. So we're going to use Axios to go grab the data. Because the data isn't located on my web page, it's located someplace else. So over on like a server or an API or a website someplace else,
Right.
I need to make an AJAX call to go and get it.
Is there any point when you would need that Axios instead of a fetch, or could we easily replace this with a fetch? It's just
You could
preference.
replace it with a fetch.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep. It's like, could you use a butter knife to put butter on your toast? Or could you use a steak knife?
You could, but it'd be annoying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Auto-cutting machine.
Or a spoon or something like that. You can use different tools to do the exact same job. Some tools are better at it than others. Of course, a butter knife is better than a steak knife, which is better than a spoon. You know, but if worse comes to worse, I can use a spoon to butter my toast.
Yeah.
I've done it before. So yeah,
Cool. Thank
that's,
you.
yeah, that's just torture.
Run Fruit Loop at a time.
That's how I learned patience, was to eat rice with chopsticks. Not like shovel, but like actually like try to eat rice with chopsticks.
I just came up with an idea.
That's
It's
really
sticky
patient.
rice that you get.
Chopsticks that are
Yeah, right? You know. Anywho, RESP. So we know what the response looks like. The response data is going to be an array. So I'm going to go, hey, set my task list with resp.data. So I don't have to use the function here because I'm overriding it. I'm saying no matter what it is, just blop, override it. Yes, blap. It's a fun word to say, blap. It's real nasally. Anyways, if I come over here now, blap, there we are. It's not working. It's saying once the page loads, let's go to the network tab to break this down. You know, once the page loads, once this component hits the page, hey, send out a request to /items and get me the data back. Once I get the data back, throw it into my state, throw it into this hook, I'm using to track my list. How are we feeling? Great.
What like in the other one, you put like the body for text to task, but this like the get, it had a bunch of stuff in the body for like ID and like why didn't you use that in the get?
So why didn't I use like any of this stuff inside the get?
Yeah, I guess it's like not impertinent to like what you're like displaying on the page.
Exactly. It comes down to what I'm getting. I'm not getting ID 1527. I'm getting the whole list. Does that make sense? It's the difference of like, am I getting a page in a book or am I getting the book? So,
You got this really weird list.
I got this really weird list. There's a lot of stuff I can do here.
Buttons gotta work.
So,
We got a style.
so
We have to.
multi-line text box.
Multi-line text box is a text area. It's something completely different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That are a pain to work with. Not gonna lie. I've got 30 seconds on it before we dive into what's next. So input one line, right? Sometimes things need multiple lines because sometimes you want to write like a feedback survey or something like that or whatever, mind you. That's actually going to be called a text area.
Is it like the big box?
Yeah, that's the big box. That's the you can like resize it and everything like that. It's not an input field, so it behaves differently. It has
It's not an
different-
input field.
No, it's a text area. I know.
Why?
Don't ask. Because it doesn't make
Why
sense.
not?
No, I support that one.
I completely it's a pain in the ass for me. Not gonna lie.
That's related to data
So-
size.
It's a legacy thing in browsers. Because like the text area was always what it was, so it's yeah. Yeah.
So you can't add things to the text area to this list?
I can, but I have to use an inner HTML content. I've used text content. Blah.
Okay.
Because like it does, but it doesn't have a value.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. 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 In fact, the progress report generator had a bug in it for the longest time, where it wouldn't let me like change the attendance stuff because it was a text area that I had to go in and build. I had to go in and fix.
Phil had a could be question.
Could be, yes, Phil.
I had a what question?
You had a could be question. You could be malicious
science.
is what you said. and I want to know what your question was.
We'll go down it.
His face was classy. He's like,
I'll
What I
make
wanted to
pictures.
do was when you post the list
Yeah.
and then you have your list, you can actually drag and drop it into another part of the page, like to check it off. Like you can actually grab the text and drag it. drop
So
it.
we're not going to do that, but let's work this out for a second. So how will we do this? Well, each item is now going to have an on drag event,
Okay.
and then the box that we dragged to is going to have that on drop event.
Okay.
So once something is dragged over here, then do that.
Interesting.
That's actually
Those are native things in the.
Yeah, those are actual events in HTML5. Yeah, there's a drag event, drop event. Yeah,
Just a little left field.
yeah. I mean, completely out of left field. But yeah, like that's the thing. And really, we're going to tie everything up to buttons or divs or spans or something like this. But really, we're going to tie it to the click event. We could really tie it to any event. On hover, on drag, on drop, on mouse up, on keyboard up. If they type the T key or the C key while hovered over an item.
On looking at the screen.
Yeah, like there's really cool things. Anywho,
Would the on drag event actually control
This is from
the UI to make it look like you were actually dragging it?
we're trusting the browser to do that for us.
Right.
Again, if we want to do more, there's packages in CSS that we can put on top of that. Anywho,
What's next?
we have half hour to work on this. What would we want to see? We got here.
like the highest.
As me building this, here's what I see. I see we have a to-do list. It's not styled but pretty. The dates aren't formatted the best. So there's that we can do. We also have a whole bunch of junk data on here, right? So we could add the delete functionality.
Moment.
Yeah, so we can format it. Let's format the date times and the timestamps. Then let's work on deletion.
Yeah.
Because that moment's with that timestamp's really going to bug me. It's going to. moment.js.
I couldn't get it working on our project for the menu page.
Mhm.
And it was probably because of the same problem that you had when you were loading it up, and I couldn't remember what we did.
So I'm going to yarn add moment, because moment's a very popular library that's dealing with date times.
Not React Amendment, right? Because React Amendment was bad.
And then I'm going to add React moment.
Oh,
You needed it both.
Yeah,
that's the fix.
that is the fix. Because remember, React moment doesn't add moment.
That's
Some developer made that as a very smart choice somewhere, and they had a very good reasoning for it. I just don't see the reasoning for it. Yes, Amanda?
If there are warnings that say things like, I wrote this a long time ago, use something else, why aren't there things that say, there's a reason you have to also download Moment, and it is that I was burning something on the stove and forgot to add it in.
Because that is up to the developer to add. Just like everything that we've seen here, if we want to,
Notated chaos.
right? If we wanted to like add something, we have to do it ourselves. So whoever wrote that message, like use something else, took the time to go, I'm going to add this message.
Right. And
Instead
the
of-
other guy had something burning on the stove and didn't edit this.
yes, that's a good way to look at it.
So you're gonna write really good messages, Amanda.
I like notated chaos, Dante. It's important to have notes.
You're
I
not
like
wrong.
how you're working.
So here we are. We got our moment.js added. We want to format it. Nope, where was it? Formatting. Here we go. Bloop. Bloop. And how do we want to format it? I don't know. What do we care about the format? We care about, we also need to import the package, but we care about, well, probably more time than date here, right?
Yeah.
So time should probably be the most prevalent thing.
Oh, can we do the ago? The
Ooh,
34
yeah,
minutes
that's
ago
good.
one?
Yeah, we can try it.
Maybe it's timing.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have to import both packages?
Nope, just one.
I have a question.
Okay, so it's just moment from now.
So now we're posting and getting. Does this make this a stateful application, or does that not complete the requirements to be stateful?
Ha ha ha. That's good. So so Phil asked a really good question about stateful versus stateless. What is our app? Is our app stateful or stateless? Any thoughts?
Stateful.
Why do you think it's stateful?
Because you're recording all kinds of stuff in state, there's at least 3 statements up there that were like recording what you typed in as a state.
So you're thinking of the React definition of stateful, right?
Right.
Right. So that's one possible answer. We'll come back to that. Amanda?
I agreed. I think I may be on the same definition he is. It's like a conversation. Like, it's remembering the things we did 39 minutes ago.
Yes.
So it has state.
Yes. Our app stateful, because you could argue that every app needs to be stateful because that's or it's pointless, right? But our interactions are stateless.
Because they're immaterial things you've done before them.
Exactly.
Because
I'm sorry, say that again? They don't have anything to do with previous moments in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So they're
Bananas
happening
doesn't
this-
care about.
Like the API.
Happening outside of when you grab that data, that's a separate thing
Yeah.
after you, your
Yeah.
function is also separate.
But our Git
Okay.
was based off of previous data, so
But what if there's none there? Doesn't matter.
if there's none there, it didn't matter. But
Right. Exactly.
It'll still run the
It's
function,
supposed
it
to
doesn't do
function on it.
anything.
It doesn't, whether it cares or not, whether there's data before.
Yeah. So apps tend to be filled with stateless transactions or stateless code interactions to produce a stateful app.
Which is actually
pretty
better
cool.
because
That
then you
is
don't run
cool.
into problems, right?
What was that?
That's better because then you don't run into dependency problems like
It's-
you have to have this for that to go or whatever.
Yes, it's better because our code becomes more maintainable because we don't have to have that built-up of conversation. The built-up of conversation just tends to happen at some point, which is actually kind of magical.
It stores that data.
Yeah, right?
So our Git didn't require
Right,
return to stateful.
right. Because it doesn't matter what comes before it, it doesn't matter what comes after it. It's always going to return me whatever my current list is. So if I change my token and get a new list, it doesn't matter what I did before that. I'm gonna get a new blank list.
Is there something we did, an example of stateful?
So let's see. Probably not because I tend to teach stateless more than stateful, to be completely honest. Because stateless is way more powerful and way more useful and way more better. But a stateful example, apart from the conversation example, which I love that example, classes tend to be stateful. So remember the last week of JavaScript, week 3, we did classes and stuff. Classes tend to have state with them because we have properties and we have data, right? Not the React state, not to confuse with the React state, but we have some sort of like things that happen. That's a very stateful way to think about things. On the other side, functions are more like a pipeline. It's more stateless. We have ins, outs, and we're done, and that's it. So, yeah, right?
And by the React state, you mean the lifecycle?
Yeah. Yeah. The state and life cycle, two different things.
Okay.
Sort of. I know. It
Yeah.
gets fun.
It's like the more you explain it, the more confused I am.
So the delete button.
Delete button, right? Oh yeah, it works. Wow, we started 42 minutes ago? I like that.
But it's been changing, I suppose.
It's been changing?
Well, yeah, because it was 39 minutes ago since we last.
Oh, that's so cool.
Moment.
Yeah, was added 39 minutes ago when we first added it.
That's
2 minutes as we talked
I
about
want to see it
state.
change.
Yeah, I kind of want to chill here.
We-
So while we're chilling, see when that changes. Hey, that's an awesome added perk. It looks really cool. How would we do this delete button?
It's in the API data.
And
It
the
is.
stream.
I
So-
would say you're gonna post again.
Yeah, we're gonna post.
There it did.
It changed. There's an API endpoint that says, hey, I want to remove an item. It's actually going to be a delete call.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we're going to delete. And now you notice, this goes back to something that Alan mentioned, we're now no longer deleting a list. We're actually deleting an individual item ID. So we need to tell it which ID we want to do. We don't want to delete everything, right? We made our list, we have our list. We just want to delete like the third item. Or item number 1527, whatever the ID is.
So whatever button click is associated with that item.
Dot
And so when you do dot get dot post, this is gonna be dot delete.
Probably, yeah. Probably. I haven't used Axios delete in a while, so probably. That's a really safe assumption, right? Because we know that it's axios.get, axios.post, so it's probably axios.delete. So now this delete button needs an on click, right? And now this is going to be delete item. But we need to tell it which item to delete, right? So this is going to be an anonymous function. And we're going to pass it a parameter of
You can E for AI.
item.id.
That was so easy.
We haven't written delete item yet.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
That's
How do we
not-
know which one?
So we know which one because of this right here.
Yeah.
So we're saying we're going to have a list of buttons. Each one of those buttons are going to have their own on click. And each one of their own on clicks is going to say which one it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Dante had a question.
I just have a random question. Is it possible to tie into the from now so that like we could just like maybe change the background color every time the minute clicks or something like that?
Maybe.
Is it possible? Just want to know if it's possible.
So it comes down to two things. Is there an API for it? So does the React Moment library support that? Support some sort of on-change event? If it doesn't, is there a way for us to hack around it?
Yeah.
Like add some CSS to some class, look for some class to change. Is there something else that we can be like, I think I can
You
do
could
this?
say that like grab that text of where the numbers are and when the numbers change, do something.
Yeah, so we could, at the very least, set an interval, right? Every minute, every so often, just look at the text, and if the text doesn't match what it did before, do that. Is it the most reliable thing? Probably not, but, would it work? It's enough.
So now we have to set up the items ID.
Yeah, so let me Because I'm curious now. From now go. I don't know if there is. React moment from now event. Because I'm curious. That's a really good question.
We were learning about hooks and you can hook in anything.
Yeah, right.
Wherever you hook into that.
Based on a cursory search, no, nothing easily. Not impossible, nothing easy, not with this library.
But you can take the text out of where it's changing with time and say when that changes, do something, right? Like is that a workaround?
Maybe.
Where it's displaying, where it's actually displaying the text, you could say, if this changes or whatever, then do something.
If I wanted to do that, quite honestly, I'd probably hand roll it myself at that point and just use Moment to format it.
Right.
Kind of like how you did the timer for the SpaceX launch.
Right.
Like, do something like that. Because it doesn't look like this particularly makes it easy to do.
Yeah, because then you have an independent
Yeah.
semantic.
Does delete item remove the ID from the array? Does it, or does it just make that parameter blank? Like, what is it actually?
So we haven't actually written it yet.
Right.
But what is it
we
going
didn't
to...
write delete item.
Yeah, we didn't write it yet. We're going to do that right now. So what should delete item do? Delete item needs to do two things. It needs to do a delete call back to the API, and it also needs to update our list, right? Because our list, remember, is locally, not up there. So we need to say, hey, you know what? As soon as that is officially deleted, we want to remove it from our list. So it's going to be const that equals item ID. Now inside of here, Axios.delete. And where do we want to go? We want to go to that,
How convenient.
right, slash item ID.
Whoever wrote this API was a genius.
They followed RESTful standards. It makes it predictable.
Would you call it RESTful standards?
Yes. REST, because it's a RESTful API. It's a RESTful API because everything is looked at it like a resource, right? Our resource lives at slash items. That's the resource of the entire list.
So it's like that paradigm of API creation.
A very common one that we'll dive into a lot in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, so that means that our URLs are predictable. Our verbs should be predictable as well. So we're saying, hey, send a delete. We want to delete whatever item that we pass it, which is done with the on-click down below.
And then we update the
Yep,
list that we're holding locally?
yep. And now we need to update our list. Update our list. All right. So,
So it's like the opposite of concat.
which would be,
Condone?
See what you did there. We're recording, right?
we are recording. That
Sorry, I just
That's a gold star. If I could give you a gold star, I would give you a gold star. So it's going to look a lot like this, but not called dog. It's going to be filtered. So we're going to be using a filter to remove an item.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, right?
yeah. This is getting a little complicated.
A little spicy.
But does, I thought filter took the item out but didn't affect the old array.
It returns a new array with or without those items.
So we need a new array.
Yes.
Okay.
But filter will give us.
Yep. So old list.
That's right.
Give me the old list with everything but where the item.id does not equal item ID. Ah.
Ah. Can we break this down
Yeah. So we're making our post, ta-da, or sorry, our delete. Once we get back from the server, once we get confirmation that it actually is deleted, we're saying, hey, update my task list. take the old task list and remove, actually give me everything that wasn't deleted.
From the old task list.
Yep.
So old list.
Yep.
Filter it.
So if I had U3 inside of my task list, right? And I'm gonna say, hey Joe, I need you to step out of the room. I'm not saying, hey Joe, leave. I'm actually saying, you know what, give me live and out. Give me everyone who's not Sorry.
I guess I'm confused by the syntax. I don't know if I would have put 2 arrow functions. I don't know why that's throwing me off.
So let's
Makes
we
sense.
kind of jump to like the more sugary version.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get rid of the sugar. Let's dust it off real fast. So this set task list takes a function, right? And what it does is that it says, hey, whatever this thing returns is going to be my next value. So that's my first arrow function.
Right.
My second arrow function in there is my filter. Remember, filter takes a function that says, hey, anything that returns a truthy value here
See it.
now goes into my new array.
But you made it delicious.
Yeah, but we just went straight to delicious because we're good developers. We're better developers than we were yesterday.
That's
That's all you can ask for.
Exactly. So yeah, whereas like saying, hey, take everything that wasn't deleted and put it in my new state and update it.
No, this.
Amanda and then Phil.
Why is it item.id here and down in the button, and item ID no period is the thing we're passing the function?
Correct.
Why?
Oh, why? Because this item, this ID is a property on the item.
Right.
This is something that we're passing up here.
Is that anywhere else though?
Nope. That's a local parameter, and just to kind of see
Just
the
in this function.
Yep. Just to kind of see that come full circle, down here in my delete item, here's where I'm passing the item.id. So I'm passing one value, one property of the item object into my function. And in my function,
And you're
I'm just calling it item ID. I could call this whatever I want. I could call this pink hippo if I wanted to. And as long as I,
Well,
And you can
want
take
to.
hippo at the end on line 39. We're good.
yes,
I think we do this once a
I
day.
super want to do this.
at least
I know
once a
my
day.
What?
At least once a day.
At least once a day. Yeah.
Well, it's fine.
Well, it just helps me follow what is a thing that's already a property
Right.
name.
It's
And
like
what is a
algebra.
thing we
Yeah.
have chosen.
So like we can't do that with ID here.
Right.
We could do it with the item.
we
Um,
have to go back and do it with item
green zebra. Green zebra.
But ID is actually identified
Right.
as data
ID is coming to us from someplace else.
from the data.
Yes, green zebra could be anything we want. This should be meaningful, not green zebra. But ID is a property that's on the object that was defined by the API. We don't have control over that. We do have control over what we call the bucket, but not what stuff inside the bucket's called.
We don't have to really explore this, but I was trying to think of if you made delete item a function
Correct.
that selected a parameter, but you wanted it to delete 2 different kinds of things. Would it need 2 parameters, or could you make that happen with 1?
That depends on what those 2 different types of things that we're doing.
Okay.
That's the best I answer.
Like if they're not the same thing.
Yeah, like if we're deleting like an item and a list, or an item and a user.
Like if they're in the same thing, then it's probably fine. If they're not, it's probably logic.
Yeah, you probably could either put some parameters on there, add some logic. Depends on what that other thing is. To be honest.
Well, because just when I see common, when you're using the argument like over and over again in the variable, it almost makes sense it's making a function, right? So you can pass it other things or no?
What do you mean?
So like pink hippo is in this variable 3 times.
Correct.
So does it make sense to just turn it into a function so that you can pass it more? No.
Nope. So that's the abstraction cycle. Like if I put all my logic inside of one thing, a function, then I call that same function in 3 other places. Yes, I'm duplicating code, but I'm duplicating a function call. Should I put those function calls in another function because I'm doing it 3 different times? No, because that's another level of abstraction that we just don't need. And to know where that line is really hard to find out. It's really easy to see in hindsight. Because if you're going, hey, my abstraction is making it hard for me to work inside this code base, then you need to kind of unfactor it.
Right.
Let's see if this works. Can I rename it back to real meaningful variable
Yeah,
names?
I could. I just,
Okay.
I lost the thread if I needed to pick it back up.
Item ID.
Does naming the animals bring you back to the past?
It does. It makes me happy. So let's see if this works. I want to delete.
What?
Gone. Gone. This gone. Apple gone. Banana gone. I'm fixing this error as well.
So
Because-
the ID error.
Remember, every time we map, we need to have a key. And our key is a unique identifier, which we actually already have.
Say name.
Item.id.
Oh,
In this
ID.
case is to do our list.
What?
Sorry. The mapping in this case is to create our actual
Yep. It's actually just
repeating the list buttons on
Yeah.
all of it.
correct.
An alternative way to do that would have been to parentheses in item and then do comma I and then put I in the key, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Just checking.
Yep.
I like your way better of the same.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're talking about the same group.
We are. Cool.
So now we can make a to-do list for our webpage and delete them while we finish them.
Yeah, we could. How about that? So what do we have to do? We have to style this. Style the page. Style the page. I want to do that. I want to empty the text box after I add
That's what I was thinking.
an item.
Thank you.
What else do I want to do? I want to add the mark as complete. Mark as complete.
And the edit button.
And an edit button. An edit button. Cool.
That would be funny if you spelled it wrong.
You have to edit it.
Edit the edit button.
That would be fun. Yes.
Can you solve the empty the text box after I add an item by putting a placeholder there?
So, no, but we can use placeholder.
Okay.
So have we used placeholders before? Vaguely, roughly.
Some of us
Oh,
have,
just
yes.
like puts like
Yeah.
something you could recommend.
So like a placeholder is like placeholder.
So it goes in the text box, right?
Yeah, it goes on a text box and says something like add an item here.
Type something in.
Yeah. You know, something like that, and it gives us that ghost text that will go away once there's something there. So it's gone. There. Blah.
And then we add a function or a way to rearrange the hierarchies.
So to
Is
order
that-
them.
Yeah, is that like a whole lot?
It's an unordered list.
So right now it's an unordered list. How? Order the
Ordered
items.
list.
We're gonna add an item here to do it. We're not gonna do it right now,
Yeah.
but just to kind of spitball this, how would we do this?
We would push it to the first or the back of the array.
Yes, we need to use some sort of sort function, right? Probably
Sword?
Sort. Yeah.
Oh, I
We've
thought
done
it
that
was sword.
before.
I was like,
Yeah. So JavaScript arrays do have a sort functionality that's in place that we could use, but really, what are we sorting by? Well, time, IDs, text, alphabetical, last updated,
IDs,
The
right?
last one submitted.
maybe,
But
yeah.
it would be something inherent to like that item. Like it wouldn't just be like, let's drag this to the top, because
Or
that's a
the
whole
oldest.
different
I
kind of thing.
think-
Yes, that's a older kind of thing. So like, if I want to put a custom order on them, like, oh, I want to do style the page, and then I want to do this, but then I want to do the edit button. That's a whole nother problem. Because we need to store that. That's another piece of information about it. Remember, if we want to do anything to it, we have to store that data somewhere.
But wouldn't that all kind of drag along with that ID number?
So if I make a whole bunch of stuff that have IDs in the order that they're created, that ID is based on what they're created, not the order that I want them in.
Oh, I'm confused.
Yeah, right?
Well,
It can never swap IDs. I know.
But that's why I'm confused, because it is inherent to that item. It's not the change, it's the constant.
Right, so we're going to sort by it. We can't change it. So we actually have to-
shouldn't have to change it.
Exactly.
yeah.
But if we want to store the order of it is inside the list, we need to store that piece of information of its position.
Well, do we have to? Because it's in the set task state that it is right now.
If we want to change it, we do.
Can
Right,
I?
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So we'll chat about it at some point, probably tomorrow, once we get building this more. Okay.
Can we add a styling view to be like, can we change the background color of each box that holds the saved text or whatever to a different color, so all our notes have like color coding to them, like randomized or whatever, so like they're just different?
So that's going to run into the same problem because we're affecting the data now. Unless we just want it random for every color.
Are we able to?
Well, I'm just saying, like, you know how like on notes or on your,
Yeah, if you can change the color, right?
yeah, like you say like
We
every,
can't save it past paper.
I guess terminal does that, right? You can have, there's a terminal option where you say every time I open a new terminal, I want a different background color.
Yeah, that's a different thing. We're gonna kick that
That's
to
the
the
effect I want to achieve.
Yeah, we're gonna
It's too hard.
say that, but we may not get there.
Do you want to make button a component, like you were saying?
Refactor code.
But it's like general.
Yeah. So let's do the value on the reset because it's getting to be towards that magical time for homework. I know, right?
Ooh, it's homework.
I know. So what do we want to do? We want to go, hey, whenever we submit this, whenever we add something to the page, we want to reset the value of that task, right? So whenever we add to the list, not only do we want to set task, we also want to set task back to nothing. And that's it. Set task comes to us from up here. Ta-da. And this will work because down here, we're saying, hey, value is actually the item, the value of task.
So that'll empty out the box.
Yep. So let's try this. And it works.
If you accidentally delete and Command Z, would it bring it back?
Nope, it's gone. So like if I type something here and add it, I can't undo it. Which is fine because I can come down here, delete, delete, delete. I actually want to do that, delete. Cool. And then where is it? Stop the page. I want to mark it as complete. I don't want to delete it. I just want to mark it done. We'll do that tomorrow.
Are we able to reorder the list? Increase it and bring it to the top.
We are not. This is the problem that Liv was kind of chatting about, was that we need to store that order someplace. And we have no place to store that, unfortunately. We could hack around it if we really wanted to, but that's a hacky solution.
Could you do like Philip said, where you like drag and drop? I can't remember what that was called. You can't do that. No.
No, because that's changing the data. Right now, the data that we have is only these handful of fields. So this is all we have about our data that we're actually storing in the system. If we wanted to store like a sort order or a random color to it or something like that, we'd have to store that somewhere.
Yeah, that database.
Yeah, either the database, we could use local storage, but then that's unique to that device. So there are ways to hack around it, but I don't want to hack around that.
That would probably be inefficient and probably slow too.
It raises a lot more problems than it does. Because then you have concurrency and data synchronization and
Yeah.
bad stuff. Hector and then Dante.
Sheet, actual question sheet.
So for each time you're typing in something and hitting add it or whatever, you're creating a list item.
Yep.
Can we tell it to like put a class on that list item when it creates it, so that like we could, or an ID number, an ID, so we could like then track those items in that way for ordering the list or whatever.
So to put a unique class on it to sort it that way.
Yeah, like each time it creates a list tag, can you like append a class an original? Like
You could. I don't know how much you gain from that, but you could. There are better ways to solve the problem that you're trying to solve.
Okay, cool.
I guess that's the
what
way.
I'm asking.
Could you solve the problem that way? Probably, but it's probably not the best way. But good to be thinking about solutions like that. So, for your homework tonight is I'm going to give you a big long list of APIs, right? And you're gonna pick one, and you're gonna write a React app that talks to it. This thing has APIs out the wazoo. This is the one I sent out a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, right? It's finally here. It's pretty much, can you build a React app that talks to an API?
Yes.
Can you read documentation? Can you figure out how an API works? Can you figure out how to get data? And can you do something with it? And that's it. The only caveat is that you can't use an API that we've used in class. So like the joke API, the food API that I think we looked at is off as well. You know, OneList and Minesweeper, of course, off as well. So like, but get it approved by me sooner rather than later.
Oh, no Pornhub APIs.
Nope. Nope. The inappropriate comment that was just made on the recording. Thank you, Will.
Scrub it.
So
No, I wasn't.
So yeah, that's your homework. It'll be assigned out soon. As a just so quick little scheduling thing, I'll be in my team meeting today, but I'll be available on Slack from 1 to 2. So as soon as you have an API that you want to use, Slack to me and I'll approve it or not. That sound good?
Mhm.
Cool deal. Homework will be out soon.
So you recommend an API with good documentation?
I do.